And good morning. We interrupt this programming for a 23 ABC special report. I'm Mike Hart. Officials with the Office of Emergency Services, local and state, are all preparing for an update in Ridgecrest right now on that 7.1 earthquake that rumbled through the high desert region overnight, causing damage. OES bringing in additional resources. Now, Chief David Witt held a press conference in Bakersfield just about 2 hours ago, where he said a large number of agencies are currently on scene, including 200 members of the California National Guard. He said that they were ahead of the curve when it comes to responding to many of the issues that had happened in the town of Ridgecrest over the last 48 hours since the first earthquake hit on the 4th of July in the morning. The phrase he used during his press conference, he said when it comes to their response effort, they're ahead of the curve. Now, he also said that he knows of no major problems outside of the community, so we're hoping to get that information from the press conference that's about to begin in Ridgecrest. Let's go back out live right now as members are beginning to come in. There are a number of officials that are on scene, including that is Kern County Fire Department's Public Information Officer Andrew Freeborn, along with the mayor of Ridgecrest, the police chief, Supervisor Mick Gleason is there. There are other representatives of state agencies as well. We're going to listen into this press conference to get the very latest on the recovery efforts and hopefully get a better idea of the damage that took place as a result of these earthquakes.
Good morning. My name is Andrew Freeborn. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Kern County Fire Department. We thank you for your time today. We know that there's a lot of concern over what has been taking place since the 7.1 earthquake that occurred yesterday evening just outside of Ridgecrest. We will have speakers, as we have been throughout the last couple of days, speaking on various topics. We also have representatives here from Senator Shannon Grove's office. We have Captain Paul Dale, the commanding officer, the Naval Air Weapons Station, China Lake. He will be here as well to handle some of the one-on-one questions during the press conference, but he unfortunately will not be available afterwards. The way this press conference will go is the same way the others have gone. We will go ahead and introduce one speaker at a time. We ask that you please hold all questions until the end, at which point in time we will have a chance where we can do some questions. We won't do this for very long. That way we can go ahead and break out to do individual one-on-one interviews, and that way we can make best use of everyone's time. So we appreciate your patience this morning. Let us now give our attention to the City of Ridgecrest Police Department Chief McLaughlin.
Good morning. First, I'd like to start off. It's hard for the world to know what we've been through, because by the grace of God, we've had no casualties and we've only had minor injuries, which is amazing considering these two big earthquakes that we've experienced. Also, our structures have remained upright. Some have sustained some major damage, but they're still standing, so that's been amazing. So I would like to talk about now where we're at tactically. We're now planning for the next 5 days to start the law enforcement side of everything and patrolling to keep our community safe. Last night, we had over 30 officers patrolling the streets from allied agencies throughout the county, and we have full support from the federal, state, and local governments. At the beginning, right after the 7.1 quake, our dispatch center experienced a loss of dispatch communications. We experienced this. They immediately went into a different mode and tactically dispatched the officers and fire by different means. That has been rectified, and we were back up and running, and it went off without a hitch. We've had a couple incidents of theft. We have sufficient resources, though, to actively investigate those. and continue a proactive enforcement and patrols throughout the city. We're continuing now to inspect structures throughout the city with the help of inspectors from OES, the county, and our own city personnel, and that will continue until the job is done. If anybody throughout the city wishes to have their property inspected, feel free to reach out to us and we will make that happen. With that, I'll turn it back over to Andrew. We'll get the questions afterwards.
Once again, we want to remind everyone we will hold all questions until after the individual speakers have had a chance to speak. Let's now turn our attention to Battalion Chief of the Kern County Fire Department, Denisio Mitchell.
Good morning, ladies and gents. Denisio Mitchell, Kern County Fire Department, Battalion 7A. Currently in Unified Command as Crest IC with Ridgecrest Police Department Chief. So following the 7.1 earthquake last night, we had an immediate response of at least 5 engines from Battalion 7, followed by a reinforced strike team of 5 additional engines to assist with the abundance of calls we had, ranging from hazardous conditions all the way to working structure fires. Last night we had that total at 3 working structure fires, and then first thing this morning, roughly around the time we were starting to do shift change with our personnel coming on for day shift, we had another report of an active working structure fire. That one ended up being a complete loss. On top of that, our mission last night obviously was to seek out high-risk targets, neutralize them, and then send engines accordingly to the hazardous conditions. We had specialty units deployed as well. One of our own captains has assumed the task force leader role, and he's in charge of various units to the components of USAR's task force, regional task force, and they're going through gridding the city, assessing it for structural damage, any kind of utilities threats or any kind of hazards that we may be looking at. Last night they did a wonderful job. They were able to get through 90% of the city last night with those specialty units, which was really impressive considering the time frame and then the assistance that we had from mutual aid, especially from our brothers and sisters from out of county. So they were very good at getting the 90% done last night. They finished up the last part of that this morning, and then the priority for them is now that we have a primary of the city done, we're going back through a secondary, more detailed look at what we got. So far, we don't have any major structural reports of any kind of damage. We have a couple mobile homes that have been displaced, knocked off their foundation a little bit, but nothing serious. We haven't had any serious injuries of any type, and no firefighters or first responders sustain any injuries. So for today, priorities are to grid the city, assess it for risks, and then we currently have 2 strike teams of engines running 2 different branches, running our normal calls that we have throughout the county every day. So our guys, our brothers and sisters from the county have stepped up. They're running our battalion out here in the desert, and we are taking in our normal amount of calls for hazardous conditions. We are having gas leaks, gas smells of natural gas, and then electrical deals as well. So that's how we're addressing those issues at the current moment. And that's our status as far as the fire side is concerned. Thank you.
Next speaker will be the Public Information Office Chief from Caltrans District 9, Christine Nadler.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, Caltrans would like to extend our heartfelt concern for all the families affected by these earthquakes, including our own, who have many homes in the area as well. At this time, all roads are open throughout the area. 2 sections of State Route 178 were most affected, a 500-foot stretch 6 miles east of the San Bernardino-Kern County border, and a 150-foot section that would be 8.5 miles east of the Kern County border. Rockfall has been cleared from State Routes 190, 178 West, 178 East, and State Route 127 as well. Caltrans Inyo-Kern and Independence maintenance crews worked through the night to patch State Route 178 East at the location damaged by the 7.1 magnitude quake. Road conditions on this route are uneven and rough, and we encourage drivers to please Proceed slowly throughout the area, on all roads through the area, as we're still continuing to experience these seismic conditions. A $3 million emergency contract has been approved for a permanent fix to these two sections of State Route 178, and Caltrans is currently mobilizing contractors for the excavation and repair of this highway. Our Caltrans traffic management team will be arriving and slowing traffic on State Route 178. All drivers, please proceed slowly whenever you see cone zones in the area. We can't stress this enough. There's a lot of uneven pavement, and it's a danger to drivers and also to the crew members working on the sides of the road. We also encourage all travelers to please carry emergency kits in your vehicles when you're traveling. It's just imperative that you are prepared no matter where you are. This 4th of July weekend, I'm sure we didn't expect this. And so make sure that you equip not only your homes, but your vehicles as well. Thank you.
Our next speaker is American Red Cross Public Information Officer, Mimi Teller.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to the community for allowing us to come in and support you. So on Thursday, following the initial 6.4 earthquake, we opened a shelter here at the Kara McGee Center right next to City Hall, and we will remain open as long as needed. As of this morning, we had 163 people staying with us, and we have room for capacity up to 500. We have air conditioning, we have sleeping cots, 3 warm meals a day, and hot showers, and we welcome anyone from the community who wants to find both a sense of community and some safety here. So we welcome all. And I also would like to resonate that please make sure you are prepared. As you know, these happen at any time when we least expect it. Have water and enough food, and have a family plan so that you're prepared for the next time. Thank you.
Our next speaker is City of Ridgecrest Mayor Breeden.
Good morning, all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to our city. We invite you to come back at another time when it is not one of these stressful things. We want you to come back and see what a beautiful community we have, what a fine city we have, and what wonderful people we have. We did last night have some bad people come into this community and try to take things away from some of our business owners. I ask all the residents, if you see something, report it, say something. If something doesn't look right, question it. Talk to your friends and your neighbors, and please, please, please keep abreast of what's going on. Watch our website, keep in track of the police department and the city, and you will come through this okay, because we are a community. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kern County 1st District Supervisor Mick Gleason.
Thanks. Welcome all. Glad to have you here. We don't know what's in store for us the next couple of days, but I do know that we have a great team assembled, and I'm very thankful that the conditions that the chief talked about in terms of the minimum damage, understanding what we've been through, it's remarkable, and I attribute it also to the great team that the mayor has assembled and the chief has assembled, and everything's coming together really well. So I'm very thankful for that. The dam in Lake Isabella Dam is passing all inspections, so we're happy with that. We're in contact daily with the White House. We've been in contact with the governor's office. He's been very concerned about what's going on down here. We've talked with the offices of Senator Harris, Senator Feinstein. We toured the base with Congressman McCarthy, Senator Grove, and Assemblyman Fong. So all the channels are open. They're all working. The county is stood up as EOC. It's operational. I'm in daily contact with them. They're watching very closely what's happening up here. The Board of Supervisors is getting together on an unscheduled meeting to declare this and support the city of Ridgecrest and the community in declaring a state of emergency. So that'll be helpful. Back me up, Mayor. Looking forward to doing that. Everything's in place. Everything's we got the team ready. So we're prepared for the next couple of days, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you for being here.
Okay, so that is the last of the official speakers. So if there's anyone that has some questions, I will go ahead and take some questions for the various speakers now.
Can you elaborate on the thefts that happened overnight?
So the question is if there's any more detail to any of the thefts that occurred overnight. Would the police chief like to comment on that? Sure.
Yeah, regarding the thefts that occurred last night, we had one of our businesses that was broken into, and they stole a very expensive piece of equipment. And we also had a residence that was broken into, and we're still waiting to see and get a list of what was taken from that residence. Thank you.
Chief, what's your name? How do you spell it, please?
Oh, sorry. First name is Jed, J-E-D. Last name M-C-L-A-U-G-H-L-I-N.
And what was the business where the equipment was stolen?
It was Sage Mart, located at Downs and Drummond.
What do they sell?
It's a convenience store.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any additional questions? Yellow shirt. So the question is about local infrastructure as to whether or not that was compromised or not. Potentially, have you gotten word through any of the USAR?
Nothing here locally, no. And then as far as like the report of the dam is fine, so negative.
Negative. Next question.
What do you tell some of your residents who are living in or staying in RVs on the street? They're afraid to go in their house. They don't know what's going to happen. How will you deal with that long term, 3, 4, 5 days out?
Would you like to comment on that from Red Cross Shelter standpoint?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the question was, what advice do we have for people who are afraid to go back into their homes and staying in their RVs? You know, we can't tell them what to do, and we understand that a lot of people are very afraid to go indoors. We do have a very safe shelter here. It has been inspected immediately following the 7.1 earthquake yesterday, so it is a sound building, and it's safe and comfortable, and we encourage anyone who might be afraid to go home to join us here. And if they do have pets, we are permitting small family domestic pets as long as they come in a crate, and bring your own food. Thank you.
Ma'am, could you say and spell your name, please? And if people want to help, people in the public want to help, how can they do that?
So we're going to get name and spelling afterwards, if you don't mind, but we do have an additional question about what individuals can do to support. We have received word to answer that question that for right now, monetary donations are preferred. Rather than flooding this and causing a secondary incident from oversupplying this community with something that they're not ready to distribute, monetary donations at this time only. Next question, sir in the red shirt.
Preliminary inspection of building safety throughout the city. Now we have these additional buildings in the residential and commercial, the yellow tag, red tag, one of those figures. And the intent is there a possibility of bringing in additional inspectors to try to expedite it if people think their home might be compromised, they don't know who to call.
Okay, so the question is twofold. What are maybe some of the statistics of the types of damages, minor or major, throughout the community? And are additional building inspectors coming in to facilitate a more expedited inspection of the homes? And I think the chief of the police would like to speak on that.
Yes, we already have brought in other inspectors to help our inspectors with residential and commercial. And if somebody wants their building inspected, whether it's house or commercial building, they can contact the police department and we will schedule that and try to get those inspectors out. If we do need more, we will go through Cal OES and request more. So, thank you.
No updates or no additional red tags?
We have our code enforcement out there as well. Obviously the burned buildings, those will be red tagged, and I do not have numbers yet as of right now for those red tag buildings.
Okay, one more question.
Where can people donate if they want to help out? To the Red Cross, or where would they go?
So we have a question about where people can send their donations to. Would the Red Cross like to direct individuals to that?
Yes, thank you. Anyone can go to the Red Cross website, which is redcross.org, and there are links there to donate. And as mentioned, cash donations really are the best right now, so we can disseminate them as the need is required. And the spelling is MIMITELLER, Mimi Teller.
Question here in the middle.
Talk about the illegal activity. Was it break-ins or what happened last night? Can you give more details?
So we're asking for more details about the break-ins, which we've covered. That's going to be a breakout afterwards because now we're starting to get repetitive. Any questions about something we haven't covered yet? Yes, sir.
About how many quake-related medical aids did you respond to, and what types of injuries did you treat?
So the question posed now is what types and how many medical emergencies arose from the earthquake, and what was that response? And do we have fire could speak on that?
We don't have exact numbers, but as far as injuries, they were very minor. We're talking like cuts and bruises, nothing major at all. No one was flown out. There was precaution measures taken place by EMS to evacuate some more critical patients, which was already being done from the hospital anyways, but that was already in play. So that wasn't a result of any severe injuries. Injuries were minor. Call volume was obviously up due to the fact of the earthquake, but I don't have exact numbers for you, but minor injury.
Okay, well that will conclude the question and answer portion of the press conference. All of the individuals that spoke here are going to be available for a one-on-one breakout now at your convenience. Thank you.
And you are listening to comments wrapping up from today's press conference that began just about a half an hour ago. A number of local, county, and state agencies all on hand. You were listening to them answer questions basically of what happened since the 7.1 earthquake rattled that community at about 8:15 last night. A series of earthquakes that created some problems, but the one word that really stands out, Police Chief Jed McLaughlin using the word amazing, saying he was amazed it wasn't more disastrous than was first thought. He described only two instances, one at a commercial building, one at a residential building, where someone tried to steal. There was theft involved, but other than that, nothing. And there were no major injuries. As you just heard, Kern County Fire Department talking about minor injuries, cuts and bruises, that there were 3 working structures as a result of last night's quake, and then another one this morning, which was a total loss. Right now, fire crews are going through the city, doing a secondary inspection of properties. They got through all of the calls last night and early into this morning, talked about no major structural reports, aside from a couple of mobile homes that were damaged. No injuries. That's the biggest thing. Caltrans saying all the roads were open. There are 2 sections of the 178 out by Trona that are going to require some big-time repair. Going to cost a couple $1 million. They have emergency funds that are going to be for that. The Red Cross reiterating their shelter is open, and perhaps the most lighthearted moment coming from Ridgecrest Mayor Peggy Breeden, who invited everyone to come back at another time. All right, let's go back out to Ridgecrest right now. Bring in 23 ABC's Josh Sanders, who's standing by live with the police chief right now. Josh?
Yeah, Mike, we got the police chief right now. So, Police Chief McClellan, you just gave another presser. The one thing that you said that stood out to me is that with that 7.1 magnitude earthquake, no casualties, minor injuries, and no massive structural damages. So can you give us a little bit more insight on that?
Sure. You know, it's amazing. For those who haven't experienced a 7.1, obviously that was my first one also. It's undescribable. And to have no casualties and only minor injuries and no structures that collapsed is amazing. And as I said in the press conference, the world can't possibly know what we're going through right now, because it doesn't show. You know, there's no photograph that can show, because the damage just doesn't show how catastrophic this thing really was. You know, it's the aftermath now. It's just we don't have a bunch of debris fields and stuff like that. We still have a catastrophe. It's just on a different level.
Yeah. Well, can you tease that out a little bit more for me? That different level, is that something that, do you feel like Ridgecrest is a small community? Do you feel like the people here are feeling it on the inside right now? Do you feel like, you did say, hey, in the next 5 days, we want to get back to business as usual when it comes to deploying officials and going throughout the city. So can you speak a little bit more to that?
Sure. Well, what we're doing right now is we're coming up with with a plan for the next 5 days how we're going to do law enforcement within our community. We're anticipating having more earthquakes because statistics show that we should have another 6.0 earthquake or above, and then a number of 5-point-something earthquakes and several 4s. So we know that we're going to get some more. So now we're planning, and we have to plan for, it could be the next 5 days, could be the next 2 weeks, could be the next month. We don't know. So we're going to start with 5, and then we can spread out from there. Getting to your point about how people are feeling, yeah, people are scared. You know, we're tired of the shaking, obviously. People are scared, and I hope that they know we're here for them, and we'll do everything that we can to calm the stuff that we can calm. And we can't control the shaking, but we can control criminals and food and water, and try to make them as comfortable as we can so that they can get on with their normal everyday lives.
And for viewers right now, Chief, you said that if they feel like that they need their house or a structure inspected, they need to call your department. What's the number that they can?
They can call our main line, 760-499-5100, and we'll set that appointment up for them and get somebody out there for them.
Chief, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it. Yeah, best. Thanks. Chief. All right, Mike, we're going to throw it back to you.
Joshua, real quick, if I could, the one thing that we were kind of
Sure.
waiting to hear from, we were hoping to hear a little bit more on perhaps what's going on out of China Lake. We had heard some unconfirmed reports about inspections over the property looking for things. Did you hear anything else in regards to the China Lake Naval Weapons Station?
You know, I didn't hear anything specifically. There was a representative that was up here, and I am not seeing that person right now. That's something that we can look into, but no one to my knowledge spoke on any reports of anything going on at China Lake.
All right, very good. Josh, thank you for reporting out there. Josh Sanders reporting from Ridgecrest. Going to be very busy. Our 23 ABC team is out there as they're gathering more information and interviews for what's coming next. We do understand that there could be another press conference coming. We're being told somewhere in the vicinity of 4 o'clock, perhaps. We've